Welcome back, everyone, to the Out of the Scales podcast, episode 37, presented by DJD Graphics. I'm Jacob Dove of Phenom Motorsports, along with Shaun Blight of Canadian Racing Tours. And we have Robert Clements from Dirt Late Nation back. We're glad to see Bert come on. And we have the official champion on this episode of the Northeast Late Model Alliance, Nate RINALDI, driver number 3 out of Canada. Nate, first of all, congratulations, and thanks for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jacob. I'm glad to be back as a guest this time.
Yeah, he was making a lot of noise about being a co-host a couple of times and never being on as a guest. So Nate talks very loud. So I thought in order to maybe shut him up a bit, we'll get him on as a guest and talk about his championship, which is well deserved.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the ruling was that I'd only get to come on if I won. So
That's right. You got to do something important to get on this show, buddy.
Well, now that you've made it big, Nate, talk about, this experience this past weekend. I know myself was watching on GeForce TV along with Bert. You got some American guys supporting you now. So how cool is that to win it, in front of the Brighton fans?
Yeah, it's huge. Be the champion before opening night. I would have laughed in your face. We had a decent season last year. Came in third in both home track and the series points, but we just had a lot up and down, a lot of stuff to still learn. So, there's a lot of things that, think, that we went our opening night this year and won by quite a bit. I'm like, okay, so obviously whatever I did during the off season obviously worked a little bit. So, and in my luck, the first couple races went really well for me. I won the first 2, came second at Ransomville in our third race. So everything was sort of going good, a little bit rocky in the middle, got okay again. And then I just got lucky enough that everybody's luck started to run out. Who I was chatting also started to run out near the end of the season after we had a couple, I don't want to say bad finishes, but not great finishes. So it definitely was closer than I wanted it to be in the end, especially how it was looking earlier in the year. So, but we made it work, and she held together through thick and thin, and we were able to come home champion.
So basically, knowing that you're the champion this year, does that kind of alter your mindset going into the next season?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit. Once again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I know personally there's still a lot of stuff for me to learn. So there was a lot of nights where I went out, and especially last week in Fest, which I'm sure we'll get into a little later on about me misreading the track. But there's lots of room for me to learn still. So I think we've won the championship this year, but our home track, there's a lot of just rookie mistakes I made through the season, which sort of took me out of contention for the top spot there. So I definitely think there's room for improvement. I think winning the championship definitely gives us a base point to start off of where we can be, that we're comfortable at this level and we can compete with these big guys. It was kind of insane to me. I run against Charlie Santacock, Steve Baldwin, which are big late model names up here in Canada. But it was a couple times when we were in the States with the series. I ran against Dave Pangrazio and Chad Holman, and Chad Holman's runs a bunch of super late model stuff, all those things. All 4 of them are amazing drivers, and just to know that I can go out there and compete with those drivers is huge for me. Just from even just a standpoint of I'm competitive. I've made so much progression over this last year, especially compared to where we were, and this car has been awesome to me. And yeah, so I think definitely just coming from the point of I've done it, I know I'm capable of doing it. But I think there's there's definitely lots of little things here and there, things that I want to try, things that we're going to change during the off season, and just little things here and there that I think we can do, and I personally as a driver can do to make myself a better driver and really give a real crack at maybe the series and the home track points next year.
I wanted to ask you, Nate, about the kind of the immediate aftermath after the race, because you mentioned Steve Baldwin, Charlie Sandercock. If you're a late model follower or racer up in this region, those guys been around a long time, had a lot of success, and have kind of dominated at times throughout the years. And Charlie won the race, and immediately after his interview, he went to you to congratulate you. And you've been getting a lot of congratulations from a lot of your peers and competitors, guys that you've been kind of growing up watching. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, that's it's amazing when I'm getting texts from Steve and Charlie. And Charlie came up right in, especially as soon as I interviewed him, he was the first person who came up to me, getting a pat on the back and shake and say, "Congratulations, champ." And that was huge. Growing up, my parents owned the Speedway. I've always lived here. Ever since Charlie got on the late model, I've watched him go out there and be amazing in it. He's the most winningest driver at Applefest in the history of the event. He's won more track championships than most people combined. That was huge for me, and he's a guy who I have a lot of respect for, even if we do beat drivers and get into it sometimes on the track. But he's still a guy who I always have a ton of respect for. And like even from Steve, a guy who's been around for as long as he has, he's a three-peated now the home track championship. And I got a message from him and a bunch of other guys, Brandon Mowat, to say this. Everybody who sent me congratulations, and these are guys that I've watched for years race at the highest level of our sport in this area, and it's mind-boggling that I don't even want to say that I can call myself on their caliber now, but I know I can race with them at this level, and it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
And Nate, you also mentioned about your parents and how they're involved with Brighton Speedway and overall the series. So I'm sure they are proud of you, along with Anthony, because he races with you too. How are they feeling about your accomplishment, and also what are their thoughts, as long as with yourself, about how this series has gone overall this year?
Well, for a little bit of backstory, my parents have owned the Speedway. Oh, what's the exact date? I believe they started taking over in the early 2010s. We fully bought the Speedway from my grandparents, which is another story. But 2012 or 2011, we bought the Speedway. My dad bought the Speedway off my grandfather. But the Bright Speedway has been in the Rinaldi family for almost 40 years, I want to say now. And the 2017 was the Speedway's 50th anniversary. They opened in 1967, and so my dad, they bought the Speedway when my dad was 5. He was born in 74. So they bought the Speedway in 1979. My grandfather did. He saw an ad in the Toronto Star and just drove down one Saturday, just told my grandma Diane and said, "Hey, we're just going to go watch the races in Brighton tonight." And then he loved it immediately. He's always been a car guy. He used to own a body shop. And then came home in the next week and said, "By the way, I bought that racetrack we went to last weekend." Grandma had a connection. But then, so racing has been a part of my blood for longer than I've been alive. And I've grown up at the track, and my parents have run it. My dad raced for a couple seasons. Racing is everything to our family, and obviously they are beyond astonished of all my accomplishments this year. And I wouldn't be able to do it without any of them. My dad supports me through everything. My mom supports him as much as she can, even though she would much rather be on a beach somewhere than us driving dirt late models. But she knows how much it means to me and AJ, especially my dad, because there's days that I think my dad loves doing it more than me and AJ love driving. And we really, really appreciate, I know I do, and I know AJ does too. We both super appreciate all he does for us. And it's always been a part of us. And it's just there's been times I've been racing since 2017 now, started in a Canadian modified for Bert and Jacob. It's essentially UMP modified, but we run 10-inch tires and a 602 crate motor, 2-barrel. So just less horsepower, but way more traction. So they actually compete not awfully, especially on small tracks. But like I raced for a long time, through a lot of trials and tribulations, and a lot of stressful Saturday nights and nights throughout the week. And I know, not even just for me, that the championship means so much to my dad. All the effort, all the work we've put into it over the years is just finally showing results, and we all have something to say that it wasn't for nothing, that we are at this level, that we can compete, that everything he does for us is showing results, and that we respect it, and I respect him probably more than anybody else in this world for it.
Basically, let me explain. What are some of the hardships that you had to go through, and what obstacles did the season bring for you and your team?
Yeah, just I guess going off sort of this season, it's hard to follow up 2 wins in 3 weeks. So once that happened, you set your expectations way up here, and you know you're probably going to fall somewhere around here. Just there's a lot of stuff like about halfway through the season, we had a motor blow up on us. We were running third, and that kind of knocked us out of the points race for Brighton points. Luckily, it wasn't an NLMA race, but in the NLMA at our racing, I believe it was July when we were at Oshwegan. We were doing our best to make our way up. I qualified bad, missed the setup, started 11th. We had a huge field of 23 cars that night also. Slowly moving forward, moved my way up to about 5th, and got a left rear flat tire and couldn't get back out. And they'd gone green by the time I went out, and ended up 14th out of 23 cars that night. So that really put a damp on our points. But yeah, no, it's definitely been an interesting year, I'd say. Just there's been a lot of up and downs, a lot of moments where you why is this happening? There's spent quite a few weeks in the middle of the summer trying to figure out where all our speed went from the beginning of the year. Is it just, did everyone else get faster all of a sudden, and I haven't been keeping up, or have I done something and I don't know what I did, and that's why we're losing speed? So and that's a weekly occurrence for everybody. When you're winning, you don't think you need to change anything. So everybody else that goes to the drawing board, after the first week when I won, I know for a fact Charlie and Steve and all those guys went right back to the drawing board. Okay, why is he beating us? What's he doing that better than us? So I spent a lot of time sort of chasing that loop. I'm okay, why is he so much better than me? Why is this happening? It's a never-ending loop of racing, and everybody does it. If you ask any driver ever, that is the constant: is what is he doing that I'm not, and how can I do it better to go even faster? So that's honestly the biggest trial of racing, and having the grit to not give up halfway through when you can't figure it out.
All right, you've mentioned Apple Fest a couple times. For those who don't know, Brighton, Ontario, or Brighton Speedway, I had my first Apple Fest experience, and it was quite a party after the races. I'll just say that. But talk about what that event means to the community of Brighton, your family, obviously, your parents who own the track, and just that race in general, and how much that means.
Apple Fest has been a community event in Brighton, and then I believe it was 2006. My grandparents put on the first Apple Fest classic shootout at Speedway, and it is the culmination of everyone's efforts at the end of the year. Everybody is coming together and just giving everything they have for their biggest races of the year. You work all year to race for the points, and then once points end at the beginning of September, all of your focus goes to, okay, how can I win Apple Fest? it's for our terms, it's our World 100. We don't we go out there, all the late model guys in the area do everything they can to get their cars ready to run the Great Crate Race at the end of September. And it is just an event. It is an atmosphere. It isn't recreated anywhere else. It is so much fun. There's live bands, live music after both nights of racing, or just like combined with 2 nights of amazing racing. And it's also really cool for not even just for our local fans, especially because it's the one night of the year that we get to have the Sportsman and 358 Modifieds down, which normal Bright fans don't get to see on a regular Saturday night. And they always put on an awesome show, both of those divisions. But yeah, it's Alpfest. It's huge. It is the town of Brighton's biggest celebration of the year.
And there's no doubt, Nate, that you want to be able to, celebrate your accomplishments that you've had so far. And you don't want to get too ahead of yourself, but what are some of your long-term goals that you kind of have set in your mind that you're kind of shooting for? Because obviously, you're building up a great racing career in Canada. A lot of drivers. I know we talked to Shaun Blight from Australia. He came all the way from Australia to race in America and race late models. So what are some things that you have in mind that kind of want to set for yourself long term? And now that you're a champion, when is those Nate RINALDI T-shirt and merch going to?
For some long-term goals, my dream is always to be able to drive a super late model at 3 racetracks, and that's Volusia, Charlotte, and if I had to pick the third one, I'd probably say Eldora. Those are the 3 racetracks. Like if you race those tracks, your name goes in history, basically. If you can make the show at any of those tracks, it means something. Let alone finish decently on them. For sort of like more short-term goals, I'd almost say, I would love to go run short track nationals at Charlotte in the week before World Finals with the 604s, and I would love to go run the Summer Nationals or whatever they call it at Volusia with the 604s. I think that would be awesome and a ton of fun. Not something in the plan for this year by any means. Obviously, the car needs a little bit of TLC, and I wouldn't want to show up to one of those shows with my car not being 100% perfect, because not only do you have to be 100% perfect when you're competing with guys of that caliber, your equipment needs to be perfect, your routine, your management, everything needs to be 100% perfect if you won't even have a chance, your mentality. So it's definitely not something to plan for this year. Revisit next year, see how next year goes. Like obviously, this championship gives us a ton of confidence going forward. Like we've run against some fantastic drivers, so it gives us confidence going forward, and we know we have a base block, like I said earlier, and so we're building up to those things. The other difficult thing for me especially is just with my parents owning Speedway, we're tied up every Saturday night of the summer, so most of our race season is preoccupied with racing home. So even the weekends that I don't race Brighton, I still have to. My parents are still here running the track, and I'm around usually. And we're not to the point yet where not only do I feel comfortable racing without my full team there, especially my dad, because he's just such a big supporter, and he doesn't like me running his equipment without him there either. So, but I think definitely in the next couple of years, there's some big ticket shows I'd like to run. Like I would like to also run the Firecracker at Lernerville or the Pittsburgh or at Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. Definitely some other big shows that I would like to run here in the next couple of years. And I guess to answer your T-shirt question, I'll have to talk to my manager about that, because he usually gets stuck putting 3 race cars on my T-shirts.
All right, Nate. So we wanted to congratulate you again on your championship. It was cool being there in person and being a part of that celebration that went on till I went to bed and it was still going on. So
I went till 5:30 in the morning.
yeah, I can't do that anymore. So
You could have just made her to bed now.
I think I was still 2:30, 3 o'clock ish, but that's about as long as I can go now.
You didn't even get to the Johnny Appleseed race at the end of the night.
We're going to get into our DJD gear rapid fire segment. Jacob is going to take that away. He's got 10 questions for you. You know how this works. So go ahead, Jacob.
All right, Nate. So our 10 questions for you. The first one is, outside of Brighton Speedway, what's your favorite racetrack?
Oh, tough one. Favorite track that I've run personally, I'm going to have to either give it to Cornwall or Ransomville, and I know that's weird because they are such different tracks. Cornwall's probably the smallest track you'll ever see a late model run on, and Ransomville's a much larger track, but I don't know what it is. Cornwall's super tight, super banked, really quick, and it's a ton of fun to run on, and but I had a ton of fun, like an unbelievable amount of fun this year at Ransomville. It was probably the most fun I had in the late model all year with when I got to run with Charlie up front at Ransomville this year.
And you're given an unlimited budget. What race car are you getting behind the wheel of?
2024 XR 1.2 Clements power, and going south. 2025. We're there now.
And what's one pro and one con of living in Canada?
Free healthcare is one big pro living in Canada. Major pro. One major con is the lack of dirt racing available and the lack of fan base around it in Canada.
Well, hopefully that's your job of getting more attention to it. And I know you and Shaun are going to do a good job of doing that. So the next question for you is, why the number 3?
My older cousin, who used to always, like, significantly older than me, used to babysit me when I was, like, little, like, and her basketball number was 3, and she was, like, my best friend when we were little. So, and that's why when I first started playing hockey, I was number 3, because that's what my cousin's Jordan's basketball and hockey number was. And so then it just progressed from there, and it's always been the significant number to me. Like, whenever I played hockey, whenever I ran go-karts, I've always been number 3. The only time I ever did anything when I wasn't number 3 was if hockey the jersey was taken or it didn't fit me. And when I ran, the first year I ran late models, when I was still running modified, my dad made me run the late model 73 because we won that car in a draw, and it won on ticket 73. So he bought 37 73. It was a combination of mine and AJ's numbers.
And what's the best beer to drink after winning a championship?
Twisted Tea. It's not a beer, but it's still the best thing to drink.
Well, I think there's another black number 3 driver that may have not had that choice of beer.
He would never. No,
Dale definitely never would have had a Twisted Tea. But, Dale Earnhardt, and Dale didn't run.
So, Canadian food or American food? What do you like better?
I gotta go with Canadian food. I don't know, something about double quarter pounder cheese that I get from McDonald's in Canada, and then I go to the States and get the same thing, and it just tastes like a worm burger. Not a fan.
And what is your go-to song at the moment?
Oh, probably Oklahoma Smoke Show by Zach Bryan, or Heading South by Zach Bryan.
And who is your favorite dirt late model driver right now?
Fair dirt late model driver, probably Devin Moran. I think the way he drives so consistently and so smooth, he stays out of trouble most of the time. I'm pretty sure Ricky Thornton Jr. wouldn't agree with me right now when I said that, but But I like watching him race is so cool, and his accent is the funniest thing, and I love listening to him talk in victory lane because he always just sounds so ecstatic about everything.
And do you have a hidden talent that people might not know about?
Every joint in my body is hyper flexible, so it makes it not quite. I can do weird things with my arms because I can, like, my shoulders will completely roll their sockets, so I can do funky tricks. But it makes driving late model fun when you smash around, your shoulder starts to slip out of the socket.
That's definitely really interesting. And for this last question that we have for you, Nate, it's kind of a funny one, but do you think a driver should be penalized if he gets out of the car under caution?
In my honest opinion, driver gets on the racing surface, leaves his car completely, I think he should be penalized. If he just sits up on the edge and tries to look at some stuff, he's not actually any more danger than he was sitting in the car. So, but if he gets out of the car and starts running, yes, he should be penalized. But I don't know. Was it a poor decision to get out of the race car? Yes. Did I think the night was over and the championship was lost? Also, yes.
Yeah, just maybe don't try that going forward with Lucas Oil or World of Outlaws. They might find it a little different situation than the people who own the series and track that you're running.
Well, all I know is when the safety guy comes over and looks at me and says, "Put your helmet back on and get in your car. I don't think it's actually that broken." And I said, "There's no way it's not broken because it just went hard right and didn't go back left." And then watching the replay just made, even like Clint Jeffrey said in my interview, he's like, even watching the replay, you don't think you're going to get back going. I don't know how. I've kissed my right front lower control over a tie rod quite a few times since then to show it some love.
Well, I know between myself and Bert and Shaun, we're all really proud of your accomplishment. We're going to definitely have our eyes on the series. I know it's been fun watching. You know, you got some more eyes on you from the U.S., and I know Shaun's going to be, pumped for you to continue doing well with your accomplishments. And yeah, we really appreciate coming on, Nate. It's been fun having you as a co-host and now as a special guest. So yeah, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys.
We wanted to conclude today's show talking with Bert. Obviously, you guys saw that he was back for episode 37 here with Nate. I know Bert's been involved with doing some promotion on his Dirt Late Nation page of the series, so we appreciate that. And Bert, what have you been going on lately? I know it's been a while since you been on the podcast, and we're kind of excited to kind of get you back in the swing of things at Phenom.
Basically, I came from my other team, Excel Sim Sports. I was just trying to have something new to go on there, and made some dumb mistake and decided to go over there. So I'm back. I returned to Phenom Motorsports, and I'll be taking the spot where Drew Holleran finished off last season. I'll be driving number 9 and the Xfinity and the Truck Series, and I'll also be in my number 75 late model all across iRacing. So,
and quickly talk about what you got going on with your graphics, and also some exciting news about some college acceptance.
So far, I've gotten a lot better with my iRacing graphics. I've made I could have made at least well over $1,000 already, but I'm stupid, and I kind of have a heart for it, so I don't like to charge people much. But I've got better at that, and it's also led me to my career decision. I got accepted to go to UNOH, and like earlier, they sent me a big folder of stuff, and yeah, I think that's where I'll end up going for digital multimedia and design and stuff. And then I also think I might take motorsports marketing. So I appreciate Jacob for helping me out there. I honestly wouldn't know what I was doing to begin with without his help there. So
yeah, definitely exciting stuff for you, Bert. And I know Shaun's been busy almost every weekend. He's at a racetrack. So what else do you got coming up for you, Shaun, on your schedule?
Well, sadly, those days are coming to an end. I'm looking at my schedule here. This weekend, we've got the last Empire Super Sprints race at Fulton Speedway, so I'm going to be attending that. I was looking at doing the National Open, but I've got some opportunities to work with some different drivers here. A couple guys that are going down, Liam Martin and Ryan Turner, who we've had on not too long ago. They're actually going to be taking on the ESS guys at Fulton. And then Saturday night back locally is the last ever race for Humberstone Speedway in Port Colborne, Ontario. They're closing after, I believe they opened in 57 or 67. It's been a long time. So that track will be no more as of Saturday night. So they've got 6 or 7 classes, 358 modifieds, crate sprints, 360 sprints, sportsmen, I think, are there too. So it should be a good show. It'll be a late night, but some of the, all the top classes, except for the late models, all the top classes in the Northeast are going to be there. So end of an era, really sad whenever a track closes its doors, as Jacob, I'm sure, is about to talk about. But yeah, should be a fun weekend other than that. And then after that, man, it's like there's nothing going on until Charlotte. So I'll see if anything kind of pops up on my radar. But the end is near, sadly.
Yeah, and we hate to, end the show on unfortunate news, but obviously, if you stuck with the dirt late model news, that East Bay has officially canceled the grand finale, 50,000 to win Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series show due to Hurricane Helene, and obviously, the hurricane, we can't control that. And as a person that has dealt with many hurricanes, I know that it messes up a lot of people's plans, but far worse things happen with the hurricane. People's houses and lives have gotten destroyed by, a devastation like that. So the fact that, the track won't get one last show is kind of very heartfelt, especially for myself and my dad, who've been looking forward to finishing it out there. But, there's a lot of memories at the racetrack, and we really appreciate, all the people that we've experienced the races out there. I know Devin Moran put out a cool picture, and the Moran clan, they're really special there at the racetrack. So we're really going to miss East Bay Raceway Park. Hopefully some other tracks down here in Florida can take on their dates, like Ocala Speedway and Volusia, and kind of continue on the legacy. But yeah, we really appreciate everyone for supporting our podcast, and just letting Kyle Olson 279, letting him know that if he doesn't get back to us soon, we're going to have to pick another giveaway. So Kyle, if you're watching this, make sure to reach out to us soon, because we got to give you your giveaway items. So yeah, thank you guys for supporting us. Stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
After the Scales is proudly presented by DJD Graphics. From commercial and personal vehicles to racing bikes and cars of all makes, models, and disciplines, DJD Graphics can fully customize your vehicle to suit your needs. For more information, contact Darren and visit his website at www.djdgraphics.com. Tell him Shaun and Jacob sent you to receive special rates.